somewhere between these two forces, somewhere in this area that's not in those two camps, has got to be where we live.
Yeah. Well, I think the government should do more of setting the rules instead of running the show. The government should set clear regulations.
Finance, and I think they got to throw some seed money into it. You don't have public libraries without government funding. You don't have PBS without government funding.
Local funding as well. Public libraries. Are most local libraries funded on a local level?
Yeah, of course, county, local, of course, but that's when they're used.
I don't want the federal government telling me what books my local library
I want to live in America. I don't want to live in this jackass town wouldn't do anything. I have to move to another town then. Because if I had to live under the rule of the fascists that run this place, forget it. I have no freedom. I have no life here then. So if I have to wait for them to make an investment in internet technology, forget it. If I have to wait for them to make an investment in freedom, forget it. There's no point. I mean, like I said, what's the point? So I have to move. And that's not, I'm American. I want to live in America, and I want this ground here to be America. I don't want...
Okay, this ground here to be America. Whether your local town provides you with internet access seems like a...
Well, look, the public education is mandated by the federal government. It's not mandated locally. It's mandated by the federal government. It's an obligation. As a citizen, this is our obligation.
Yeah, and that seems like an obligation.
I don't mind letting you administer, but the internet is a global thing. This local idea that you're going to, locally index the internet isn't going to work anyway.
No. I'm not talking about locally indexing the internet.
Well, I know, but what I'm talking about in internet investments, I'm talking about investments in the navigation. That's the biggest part of the internet. I'm talking about investments in the infrastructure, and all that infrastructure, all that stuff is worldwide. It isn't, you can't do that locally or as a county. You have to.
Well, the infrastructure is in place. Now, if you want to improve it, that's another issue.
Well, you're talking physical infrastructure. I'm talking software. I'm talking about practical infrastructure. I don't think the infrastructure in terms of navigation was ever built.
Right. Well, the DNS system is your navigation infrastructure. That was what that was designed.
Exactly.
No, he's talking about search.
Navigation.
But search is not an essential part of the internet.
It is the whole internet. You're not on the internet without
it. From the consumer point of view,
you're not on the internet.
You
have
to have some way to find stuff. So initially, a person knows. Okay, they find out about a website, and then from that website, you can find stuff.
So then provide a better search. I'm just saying that.
That's what I'm saying is I can't provide a public library. I can't pull one on my back pocket. I can't build one on my porch.
Oh, you could. You could build one on your porch.
Let's not get into a crazy argument.
No, but that's not a crazy argument.
No, it's a crazy argument.
If you're saying things should be done better, you can do them better. You can't always say someone else provide this.
But it takes more than what he has the ability to do.
The Hoover Dam would not get built, because some guy said, I'm in my garage, I'm going to build the Hoover Dam today. It's just not going to happen that way. You have to have, the government has to do it because that's done right.
But I don't think the government has to do search. I think that
I'm saying they don't have to do search. Google can still do search. What I'm saying is they can do the public library version. Google can do the bookstore, and we can have a public library navigation type system on the internet.
What he's suggesting is
a system separate from all these capitalist marketing interests.
I mean, why couldn't you do that?
I got a question for you. Is there a way to get out of this conversation without me buying into your plan?
Sure.
That's my question at this point, because I think we disagree on this.
You know what? Honestly, I think I disagree with it too to some degree, but I think it's more or less not that I disagree.
That's why I'm saying 6 years have been arguing about it, and no one. But I'm still going to say yes. We can end the argument.
I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to deny your opinion.
I think what he's getting at.
What I'm saying is you don't have to buy it. What I'm saying is time is going to prove me so friggin' right. Just like Bill Gates. Bill Gates even admits search sucks. Go listen to a Bill Gates interview, and he'll talk about how search is garbage. 10 years from now, we're going to be embarrassed about how bad it is. Okay, and I'm telling you,
Bill Gates wants to sell you something.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm just using that as a devil advocate kind of.
Yeah.
And that,
Bill Gates has a very, very vested interest in saying that search sucks because today's search.
He has his search engine though. He has a search engine, and he concedes his search isn't good enough. Okay, he admits that. Look, I hate Bill Gates, but look, he's right on this one. His interview, the man talks about his own search engine sucking. I'm not going to find fault with that because he's being at least humble enough to admit they're not doing what they need to do. Okay, he admits they lost the battle to Google. Google won because they had a better product. He admits that. Okay, so let's not talk about his interest right here. I'm just using him as an example of here's a man who owns a search engine who concedes that these mechanisms we have now just plain stink. That they're nowhere near what they should be. And my point is it's not going to be 10 years. It's going to be 50 years before we know the truth. And then 50 years from now, there's going to be a statue somewhere. They're going to say, see, that Gary guy really told us right from the start. All we had to do was do this rationally. Logically build a system. Don't let chaos own you.
But I think we kind of agree that we could build essentially a better system than
I think we could. I think we're just disagreeing on exactly how to implement that.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing.
How can you talk about how everything is corruptible, and I'm saying to you, well, how can we do it? Okay, if I have to get venture capital from a guy who's going to
really been thinking about this for a while. I've been introduced to this idea this afternoon. You may need to give me a little time to think about this.
That's the way to end an argument. That's the way to do it.
Give me a little time to think.
Because before you were saying we could never agree, and now I'm just saying, okay, yeah, you think about it, and I'll think about what you said, and I admit my arguments are weak. Okay, in the sense that because I have been arguing for 6 years
before we can see, the thing is, we have to get technical before we can agree with you, and you need to, like, the way you're explaining it. We don't like how you're explaining it. But I think we can agree on how
you want to convince us of the idea before we see the nitty gritty ugly underside of it, which is kind of what I'm. I think you think
devil's always in the details.
And you think an idealistic. This is the way it should be. I look at it and say, you said